Hello! Welcome to First Steps to Fun and Funds for your creativity. Today we're talking about making art, making money. I will see how much we can cover today. Obviously I can't do everything in the video trainings, although I'm going to try and share as much as I can. I can hear that my little one has probably woken up a little earlier. I'm hoping she goes back to sleep, but we'll see how we go. Nap times can always be, which is kind of perfect because today I'm going to be talking about the habits that you're going to need to really find your groove, find your flow, and weave that with your everyday life, like I do as a muse mama, weaving business with babies, but to make your art as well, your creative work. So before we get started and get into that, definitely hashtag below as with all my videos. If you're watching live with me, make sure you comment below hashtag yay live, and if you're watching the replay, hashtag yay replay, so that I know you're here and that you're engaged, and that and also where you're watching from and what you're doing and what is it that you're hoping to bring into the world, which is why you're watching these live stream series while I get this stuff set up. As I always do, Facebook prefers that if you do all this stuff live and share it. And of course, any love heart showers from you is much appreciated. It means that more people can see these videos and it really helps my work and bring it out there. And if you know anyone who is interested in just starting to put their work out there, maybe it's you've been thinking about it, you've been nudging, you've gone through a life experience and transformation in your life, and you want to share that experience and the skill set that you've learned, kind of like what I'm doing now. In the last 5 years, I've learned a lot of things of sharing my creative work online, which is why now I'm sharing that work online as another form of my art. If you don't know me, if we haven't met, hi, I'm Brenda Mangalore. I call it a traditional creative. I am a painter. I do abstract painting. There's one of my paintings there hanging in my bedroom, which is where I am right now. We have access to such amazing technology nowadays that I can be showing up for you here in my bedroom because this is the best light, this beautiful big window. And I couldn't find my AirPods, but the time was come, so I'm just using the old headphones. So I'm hoping that the sound is great. So I'm a painter, I'm an artist. I create more than just painting. If you haven't seen day 1 or day 2's videos, make sure you check them out after this, and where we talk about one of the things I really learned over the 5 years of weaving, sharing my creative work for actual money as work, but also as my art, and what you need to do really before you really step forward into that, where you're kind of expanding more than just doing it for your creative outlet, more than just like something just for you. You have reached a stage now where you're like, yes, I have this transformation, I have all these skill set, I want to share it, I want to bring it up, maybe online, and maybe get paid for it, maybe do courses like this is what I'm launching right now called First 5, where it's 4 weeks with me and we lay the foundations to help you find your first 5 customers or collectors or clients for your creative work. And I always think of it as your first 1 or 2 sales when you're selling your work, whether it is a painting, maybe you're an artist and you want to bring your art now online, maybe you've done it offline, or you've just been doing it at home and been giving it to family and friends, and now you want to think about actually selling it online. And I know there's a difference between when you're first starting, especially with the tools we have nowadays, and trying to build a 6-figure business. I'm not here to teach you get rich quick kind of schemes. I haven't reached my millions yet. I'm working on it so that I can share that back with you. But right now, for when you're first starting, it doesn't have to be fancy and it doesn't have to be complicated. And which is why I did this free live stream series for you, so that it can give you the tools that you're going to need before you even step forward. And then if you want to dive deeper into it, you want to get into the work, and you love me and you like the way I kind of show up, I would love to work with you. And you can look into First 5 if you're looking for your first 5 clients for your creative work. As I was saying, I really get onto a roll like this and then I get all sweaty because I get into flow. Your first 2 maybe clients, customers, they're like your friends or your family, or someone you know. But once you hit 3, customer number 3 and 4 and 5, that's when you start to kind of go, okay, you're starting to get it. You're kind of starting a system kind of in place, and you're kind of really getting your feet wet. And that's why I called this my course First 5. But this live stream series, which is why we're here, is just the first steps that you're going to need to take for it. And it gives you a little taste of the deeper topics that we'll be covering inside the 4 weeks. Obviously, I can't cover everything here in these series because then they'll be here forever and my baby needs constant attention. This is the season of life. I had maybe 3 hours sleep last night because she didn't want to sleep. Anyway, Muse Mama issues. So I would love to know what your creative work that you're thinking of bringing into the world. Comment them below, or use emojis. And if you've watched the previous 2 videos, you've done the homework, I hope you've posted it in there. If not, post them down below now while I share this, because I'm supposed to share this into all the different places so that more people can see it. So I would love to know, while you're doing that, where you're watching from, what's the creative work that you're hoping to bring into the world. And let me share it and say hi. There we go. Oh, sorry about that. Let me just make sure we don't get disturbed again. Okay. How do I share this to the... here we go. Bear with me. Hi, Andrea. If you've missed it, I was just saying, if you haven't seen the first 2 videos, today we're talking about making art, making money. Comment below what's the creative work that you want to bring out into the world. And I'm just going to share today about the habits of weaving, creating your art, whatever that creative work is, and then actually putting it out there to get it sold, and the kind of actions that you need to take, especially when you're just starting. So yes, definitely share that below. I mean, I'm trying to find my event and share it there. If not, we will just keep going. But it's just, Facebook likes to share it. And these are the only things that I will probably be covering next video on the actual marketing side of things on how to share. And then obviously a lot more in my first 5 course about the marketing stuff that I've learnt, especially Facebook. And I just had a great idea for a bonus for my first 5 course on how to show up and shine your light on Facebook Lives like this, if you like the way I do it and show up. Let me share it in one more place. It says I can start a watch party. I don't even know what that is. What is that? Alright, I think that's it. I have to do it another time. Let me grab my notes. Yes, as I was saying, share your creative work that's below. So, this information, before you feel like, if you've been watching, being really patient, thank you. Thank you for being patient as I do all this tech stuff and get set up. It's just the way Facebook likes to work, and it just works better for these lives so that more people see it, because I did not go through all the lessons and hard-earned through tears and blood and sweat to share this wisdom and lessons that I have learned just to only share it with 1 or 2 people. It is a lot more people out there, and I didn't even realize how much I had gained until just recently when people was asking me, and I'm like, there's this, oh yeah, you're going to do this, and you also got to do this, and you're going to set this up, and I was just like, crap, there's a lot that I had built up brick by brick, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to just gather it all down and put it into this super affordable, easy course online, self-paced, so that you can also build it brick by brick, because when you're first starting, finding your first 5 clients, that there's a different foundation that you need to set up before you start thinking about building your empire and things like that. So if you've seen day 1 and day 2, it was about finding that commitment and the curiosity and really committing to that, but at the same time the questions that you need to ask and know, and to find clarity, and then to commit and be curious about stepping forward in order to be able to dig deeper to find that clarity. Does that make sense? And these things may seem like, oh no, I just want, what do I need to set up and what's my website? But if you don't answer those questions that I said in day 2, if you don't find that clarity and know exactly what it is, like knowing what your dream customers are, knowing what it is that you're offering as the work. It's not just a painting, right? Like I say, I just released my Glimpse collection, a new addition to my Glimpse collection, the prints, to my website, but I'm selling more than just prints, you know. It's a Glimpse collection. There are a section of original paintings. They're the closest you can get to the originals. The originals are already sold, and so it's a way for these people. Oh, thanks for dropping by, Andrea. I'll hope to see you later at the replay. And hi, Andrea, if you're watching the replay now. They're more than just prints. They're super affordable. They're a way for you to be able to inject color and beauty and art into your life in easy to frame sizes. And so knowing what these things helps you to not only create the work that you need to create, but also to be able to then offer it to the world in exchange for money, which is what we're talking about, right? We want to find both the fun and the funds for your creative work. And sometimes when you get too focused on the funds, you forget about the fun part and the fulfillment. And so I've learned in my 5 years, just weaving as a mum as well as doing this work, is that you need all three. But today we're talking about making art, making money, and really about the habits and the actions you need to take. And they're really simple, which is why I was hoping this is going to be a really short video. Although always famous last words, I always have too much to share, and then I'm like, okay, this is when you have to come into the course. The super early bird registration is currently open at less than half price, but only if you're interested. Definitely message me on my page, hashtag first 5, and then it will hook you up auto-magically to get all the links and things. So today I will share 2 habits that you're going to need to be able to really make your art, right? So I can see, who is this for? Who am I really talking to? And if you've seen day 2's video, it was about answering these questions. And what is this making art, making money live stream? This particular video or this series is for: 1, maybe you've had a full life transformation experience, or you're currently in it. You know, you've packed up your whole family, you're on the road and you're just living that nomadic lifestyle. You've done that. You have had a health scare and you've really turned your life around, and you've discovered this intersection between health and yoga and energy work. So then there's that, and you want to share that experience and skills that you've learnt during that time with the world, so that people can shortcut their experience, or they can be inspired to take on that and to change their world in that way. Because this is what we're doing. We're not just selling random widgets out into the thing and anyone can make it and some robot does it and they package it and then they send it off. No, we are here with creative work. You're being called to create. And so that means you're selling more than just widgets, and you need to know what that is. So maybe you are traditionally creative like me. You have paintings that you want to sell online, or maybe you have jewelry you want to sell online, and you're selling more than just jewelry and paint on canvas. You're selling some sort of connection and emotion, some kind of inspiration for your collectors. This is all covered in day 2. And then, so if you haven't seen that, then you finish watching this, which is totally fine. You don't have to watch them in order. You can go back and watch them. Or maybe right now you're really passionate about this new skill. You're finally allowing yourself to use your creativity to do something. You're baking, you're experimenting and going through a whole entire cookbook. And do you know what? You can share that with the world. That is your creativity. That is your creative work. You don't have like an actual thing to sell. Maybe you want to make recipe books of your own. Maybe you want to do work, cooking classes, or maybe you want to mentor other people, or maybe you just want to continue creating beautiful pictures of these amazing creations that you do. You're not even sure yet, which is why you do these first 5. You're trying to find your first 5 customers and clients, because that's how you find that clarity. Sometimes clarity doesn't come until after you've done the action. And so I call it the chicken and egg thing, right? First, you kind of need to be clear about the direction you want to go, the kind of art you want to make, and who it is that you're trying to offer it to, and what is the transformation you're providing. But sometimes you only know a general direction and it's still kind of foggy, and that fog isn't going to clear until you step forward and take another step forward and another step forward and take action. And that's why I call it first 5, and this course is about finding that first 5, because you might at the end of that first 5 go, okay, it's not quite that, I'm going to tweak it and go there. But by then you have laid the foundation to then go find your next 5 and your next 5 after that. So, and I learned this through the hard way and spent thousands of dollars with courses and coaches and things, and I want to save you that trouble. And but for today, making art, making money, because it's your creative work. Maybe it is sharing that story, maybe it is sharing the skill set, maybe it is sharing your adventures down the cooking baking world, and the new skill set that you're in, you're renovating a house, or it is sharing the jewelry that you're making. You still need to keep making that. And so the habit you need to make not even before, as you start walking your first steps, the looking for the fun and the funds for your creativity, is to be able to make that into a habit and to create a boundary around that creation time, right? So if you're a painter, you're painting. If you're a writer, you're writing. If you're coaching and providing that kind of service to hold space for people, you can still be doing that, whether it is out through on Facebook, on social media, or writing your emails, whatever that is, you need to be getting a message out. Yes, there is a message. You might not know that. Your work is a message in itself, whether it is to share your story, whether it is to share the things that you learned within that story, or whether it is that artwork. I know my artwork has its own message, and sometimes I just need to share that, and I don't even know what it is because they serve as mirrors for my collectors to reflect to them their beauty, their creativity, their inspirations, their love of color. But at the same time, by sharing my story and the things that I've learned while painting it, it gives them that message and that story, and then they see that reflected back in themselves. Does that make sense? Hashtag message, if you're still trying to work through it, if you get it, if you totally love it, definitely hashtag message so that I know where this is part of it, because I got to write notes, and when I'm in flow I can't write the notes. So creating the boundaries around making an art, because once you're stepping forward and you're about to offer it to the world, I find, and this is the mistake I made, where I started focusing on the marketing side of things and the telling people and the showing the artwork. But after a while, you need to also still, that initial part that got you into making that artwork in the first place, that experience of being in that transformation and those practices that you did, you still have to do them. You still have to connect back to the original core and heart of that. And so that means you need, as to build that habit, if you didn't even realize you have it yet, maybe you already have it as a habit, but to be mindful and conscious and to be daily creating that boundary around making sure you're making that art. Because my mistake that I made at the very beginning was I got so stuck into like making the perfect website and writing emails and thinking about marketing and, oh no, how about the packaging and how do I get paid, and which we will cover today. And we will talk about the marketing stuff, which is basically sharing your work to the world and communicating how they can get it and connect with you and pay you. We will cover that in the next video tomorrow. So, but for now, it's about, but my mistake, as I was saying, was I was so focused on that I didn't even have time to make the painting. And how do you offer your work to the world if you don't have work to offer? You need to be able to create something. And so you need to then create that boundary around that. And so in day 1 and day 2, when we asked those questions and you made that commitment, part of that was also to say to yourself, what is the boundary I'm going to draw around making that work? I'm going to spend that time connecting with the muse, connecting with your creative process, even if you don't think you have one, you do, and make that work. Because as you will learn, I hope, as you're seeing as I do these live stream series, right, I'm launching a course. I am launching a offering, a new body of work. And this work, this marketing, this launching, this idea of it is really just me sharing that work with the world and telling people about it, which is a marketing, and that in itself is its own kind of artwork. And so in order for me to do that and still create my own art and weave all of that, is because I have developed a habit of connecting back in, drawing boundaries around creating the actual art. And so you need to be able to develop that for yourself. And so obviously we'll cover a lot more about this in the course, because there are different ways, different tools that I have I can share with you in terms of like developing that habit, which is stuff like picking a time and a space, picking a spot, habit tricks about like connecting a existing habit with the new habit that you want to do, and setting up triggers and stuff like that for you. And obviously being surrounded by other students who are also doing the same thing helps motivate you and connect you back and reminds you back to what it is that you are intending to do, right? But for now, know that one of the things that you have to keep in mind always is, because when you want to step forward to find your first customers and things, you're adding something extra on top of your artwork. And I don't want this to feel like it's hard and complicated, because the whole point of these first steps is to try and make it easy for you. And so the other habit I want you to have, besides creating a boundary around the creating of your art and making that sacred and making that into an intentional habit, so it means that you would think that habits tend to be something that you just do without thinking, but that sometimes means then you not do it and forget that you haven't done it, or you just dismiss it, and then that becomes a habit of dismissing it. And so being mindful about making sure you include that is what makes it a mindful habit. Okay? And then so the other habit I want you to make was, and now I've lost my train of thought. It will come to me. Let me go to this one. To create and to connect to your muse. Did I say this already? Hashtag below, definitely hashtag below boundaries, so that you remember that this is around creating that boundary of the habit, and to connect with your muse so that you can create the work. And because this habit of creating and connecting with your muse to create this artwork that you are then going to offer to the world, that habit will then translate to the other thing that you're going to need to do, which we'll cover. I'm pretty sure you're going to cover it. Yes. Tomorrow, because we're going to talk about, but you're building more than just a business. You're going to be building a brand and things like that. And so what that means, communicating and connecting and all that kind of stuff. And so for now, this idea of this habit of making the art and being mindful about that habit, and the other habit is then knowing then that there's going to be a separate thing about sharing that work. So you might not have done this when you were creating this work just for yourself, right? All right, I'm putting the pen down. That means I'm like gonna getting into a rant. You've been doing something for yourself, or you've just been living your life. You know, you've got new habits. You've just learned this new skill. You've been helping friends and mentoring them on whatever the topic is. My hair is not exactly the best today. And you've just been doing it, but you haven't been mindful about the fact that, hey, now I want to start offering it to the world. And that means you need to be able to draw a boundary around not just that work, but being able to be able to share that and talk about that. And that in itself is its own kind of artwork. And so today, the idea and the word of the day today is create, right? You're not just creating the work and the creative work, and that might be your recipes, the jewelry, the painting, the booklet that you're going to write, sharing your story and your experience and the tips and the lessons that you've learned, the blog post that you're going to write because you're starting a blog. That's the actual art, but you also have to create the connective piece. And this is kind of like the marketing, where you're sharing it with the world, but also you're collecting your lessons and the work and all that kind of stuff and sharing it. So when I'm painting and I'm creating the painting, right? This might be an easy example to understand. I'm creating the painting, but at the same time, I have to remember to create and take photos of me painting it, take work in progress photos, not just for my own creative practice, but also because then I can share that with the world as part of my marketing, which will come back in tomorrow, where we'll talk about how you're building it as a brand and all that kind of stuff, especially when you're just starting. We'll get to that, you know, about showing up consistently and all that kind of stuff. That in itself is its own artwork, right? I have to write the story behind it. I have to write my notes, because as I'm painting and creating the actual art, just like if you're writing a blog post sharing your story and the lessons that you've learned, you also have to be able to put that somewhere and put it on a blog post with a beautiful picture or something, because that's the way online works. You're going to have visuals and things. Or if you want to do it more on Instagram, you're sharing it, because that's what we're talking about. We're sharing your work online. So that itself also requires you to create a boundary and make sure you create that work. And as part of committing, day one, and being curious, and day two, trying to find clarity in who you're talking to, what's the offering that you're offering, what's the transformation you're providing, you have to be talking about that all the time. And whether that is through videos like this, which is its own art and part of creating and making, and that's the making the art part, as well as the making of the actual art. So maybe you also document while you're writing the thing, or maybe you document you living out and doing those yoga work plus your energy work with it, right? You're going to be sharing it in a booklet for sure, and that's the work of art that you're going to offer for sale. But at the same time, you're creating the the art, the marketing, see these words? It's basically the way you're going to connect and share what it is that you're offering and the story behind it. So does that make sense? So that's the create part, the making art part. It's not only about the making of the art, of the actual offering that you're offering, which you still need to do, by the way, and create boundaries around doing it, but you cannot be, in today's day and age, with the technology that we have available to us, to just go hide in a little hole in your little bedroom and to make that artwork and wait until that's perfect before you start offering it to the world. This is not how you find your first clients and your first customers and your first collectors. Okay? While you're doing that, you could be documenting it, you could be sharing the process, you could be sharing the little ahas of random things that came up, and you're going to be adding that to maybe the offering. You know, like I had a particular dream and about this particular color for this commission artwork. I was still doing the commission artwork and I couldn't share the actual process until I've already showed it to the client. But I could talk about, you know, a snippet of it and going, I had this dream about this color, and I could talk about this color, and it talked about my work, and it talked about what I was offering, and it talked about the way I was working it, and that was its own kind of art. And I had to remember to take a photo of it and to share that and make the boundary and make it into a habit of creating that art in order to show it, to talk about the offering that I'm going to offer. Does that make sense? Hashtag below totally makes sense if that makes sense for you, or definitely send me a gif of like cheering if that makes sense to you. Because it's once you start and you've changed that mind shift for going, I'm making this art just for me, to I'm going to start making this art for the world, I'm going to offer it for people and they're going to pay me money for it. I'm not talking about like millions of dollars, which is like the first dollar you're going to make online, you're going to offer it. You still need to have that mindset shift of, okay, now I'm going to have to share more than just, hi, here's a piece of the artwork. You're going to talk about what it is, the transformation you're providing, what's the heart of it, why you're offering it, why your story, all the things that you answered in day 2's questions. You'll be sharing that and creating your own little bits of art to be able to offer that and communicate and connect to your dream customers in that way. And that is the habit. Creating that boundary, about creating not only the artwork but also the actual art of sharing it and connecting it with the dream customers and clients. Obviously, there are different ways of doing that. We are talking about Facebook and Instagram and emails in the course, and we're going deeper into it. And an idea of being consistent and showing up we'll be covering tomorrow in tomorrow's about building more than just a business video. But for today, make sure you say to yourself, like, how am I going to do that? What is going to come up? Life is going to get busy. I'm going to wake up earlier and make sure I create that artwork. And at the same time, I want to remember to start taking photos of me taking that artwork. Oh, you're starting baking, you're doing a cookbook, and you're actually going to make a recipe book from it. So you're experimenting and doing that. You're going on an adventure. You're going on a journey right now. Document that. Take photos of you doing that. Make videos of you going, okay, I'm going to try this experiment, and it's like, you know, I'm really scared and nervous. That is its own art. You need to create that, and you need to make that into a habit. Does that make sense? And the third habit is really 3 habits, which are 3 actions. But, you know, actions, make them into a habit, but make them into a mindful habit so that you always are aware and ticking that box in your mind every day, if you can. And I get how busy you are. I have a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old who's napping right now, and I'm hoping she's going to nap a little longer. But so let me write that down for you actually, so that I can pin it before I forget. Homework. The other one is, besides the creating of the art, because the word of the day is to creating of the art, as well as creating the art that is about connecting and sharing the story behind it, sharing why you're doing it, making of it, or because maybe you dig into old photos of before you had that transformational experience and the journey you have to now, and then you're sharing your daily practices of what you're doing, even though you're writing a booklet that you're going to share, or maybe your art is going to be a course, which is what I'm doing now, right? I am offering a course and I'm working on it behind the scenes, but at the same time, I'm also making this live stream video, which is its own art in itself, sharing some tips and actions and resources, because I can't share all of it in 5 days, a 4-week course. But this is a free taste, but also at the same time, this particular hour is going to go into the course because it's just as good. And I want the students to have seen this so that they can apply it to their life and apply it as part of the homework. And obviously we'll dive a lot deeper in the course itself. But do you see how this particular video itself is its own artwork, right? And so, homework, draw a boundary. And so I had to learn this. One of my first coaches that I did was, and the big thing I learned was about drawing a boundary, about creating the actual art, because I was getting distracted about the finding the funds, right? And I had forgotten about the fun and the fulfillment part, which was my painting. And then I got really distracted about the website making and the marketing. And I'm saying here, that's why the homework is to create a boundary around creating the actual art. Around the actual art. So whether it is a painting, your book, your course. Ooh. Is there a way to edit that? Okay, yes. And make that into a habit. And make a habit also of creating the art, I put art, of sharing the behind the scenes, the connection to your dream customer, the marketing side of things. Okay, so homework for you, right? As you're starting now, I hope you're still making the art that you want to offer to the world. As you're doing it, now you're going to have that mindset shift because you want to start offering it to the world. You're going to take photos of you making it. And I know if you're writing and if you're like, oh, what can I show? You show a picture of you on your laptop writing. Or you take a photo of you when you're going for a walk because that's where you get your inspiration from. Because that's part of your daily practice from your transformation. You take a photo of you while you're out, or the scene that you have as you're out, and then you write a little something about how now when you take a walk, it's about the transformation and you remember the story. Or you dig up those old photos of you before and you share that. And so that, and then writing a little piece about that, and that writing. And I know not everyone is a writer. I wasn't a writer, and I just had to make that into a habit. Draw a boundary and commit to doing it. 10 minutes a day. Or as you're creating the work, have that mindset shift. Okay, how can I document this so that I can share this as I'm making it? It is part of creating the art, and you're creating a separate kind of art because now you want to offer it to the world, right? Okay, so think behind the scenes. Think documenting the process. Think sharing the story behind why and the transformation from before. Do you have any questions about this? Definitely comment them below. Even if you're watching a replay, I will come back to these. I'm still trying to decide whether or not I keep these videos up. So if you're watching, good on you because you got in. I might remove them after next week when the course starts, and I'll just put them back inside the course. But for now, I will definitely come back. So even if you're watching a replay of this, definitely drop your questions below or message me if you're like, I don't want to ask my private question. Message me on my Facebook page. And I'll put it down, the link in the pinned comment as well. So that's the homework drink. And then the third habit, I did talk about the third habit, okay? 3, 2. The third habit is to, and you might not have started this because you're just starting, but to start talking about how you're going to offer it for sale. You know, so maybe you don't have the facilities or the tech or the software or the answers as to how people are going to pay you, and you don't want to be doing net banking or giving you cash or finding you in person. We will talk about that kind of stuff, and obviously more tech things in the course itself. because the tech stuff you can Google. To be honest, you can Google that stuff. Your issue isn't the tech stuff, although I'm happy to help you with that and answer those questions for you, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed by decision making. But a lot of the time, you can just find that yourself. The reason you haven't made that decision, the reason you haven't, or you're feeling overwhelmed and you're just ignoring it, is because there's a deeper fear there, and it's about the mindset stuff, and it's about the allowing yourself to make it easy, and it's about the committing and being curious and being patient with yourself. And also because maybe you haven't created the art, you just had this idea, I'm going to do this, but then are you making the artwork? And are you willing to create the art to talk about the art? Does that make sense? Like, to document it and to do the stuff. Yes, it's going to be a lot of work, but you know what? It isn't hard. Hard is, there was a whole post I did on my page about hard is, losing a baby. Hard is watching your mum mourn her mum. Hard is, there are harder things than having to find the time to create your soul work and to create the artwork that's going to help share and connect and sell your soul work. Yes? So if you can commit to that and be curious to that and be open to that, so ask your questions below, definitely help you. And we can also dig, if you want to message me, to dig deeper on the fears behind why you haven't made those decisions, or why you're like freaking out or feeling overwhelmed. I totally get it. I go through it all the time. It's become a habit. Creativity is a habit, and I talk a lot about that in my Muse membership, and about finding and embracing resistance and stuff like that. Number 3, though, that habit is selling the work. So you've got to talk about how you're going to offer it. So you start, if you want, if you're brave and get bonus points, start talking about how, look, I'm excited and I'm going to start offering this for sale, and comment below if you want to know more details, or I'll keep you up to date. And just keep thinking about that, right? Instagram posts, Facebook posts. Are you not only creating the art to talk about this art, and are you making and having a call to action at the end where they can connect with you, where they can, they know that you're going to offer it for sale. Okay, this is where I meet a lot of people where they're just like selling, and they're not just making art and they're sharing about that art, but then at the very end, people are like, they're not going to pay the money for it because they've never made it clear from the beginning that this was going to be like what your goal was, that you want to offer it. To offer them to step deeper and to step closer and offer you money in exchange for this artwork. It's the whole money thing, right? Maybe I have to do like a whole bonus on money inside the course. Anyway, I've been here for a while now. So those are your 3 homeworks. I put that in the pinned comment. Selling, making a call to action. We'll cover more about this tomorrow, about showing up and doing the marketing side of things. But for today, think keyword of the day is create. Word of the day, create. Are you creating the actual art that you want to make? Or maybe you're like me, you make the work as you're launching it, and you make the work as we go through it live, which is the beauty of my courses, because then it's tailored to the people who are in it. But at the same time, you also have to create the art, which is like this live stream series, the art to talk about the art. So the story behind it, I have it in the pinned comments, the behind the scenes, the documenting, the sharing of your transformation, the sharing of your process, the sharing of your thinking behind it. All of that stuff is amazing and lovely, and everybody wants to know about it. It is interesting, it is worth talking about, and it will help you to find your first 5 dream customer clients, collectors. Daily, make it a habit. Number 3, to tell people that you are offering something for sale. Alright, pin comment. Okay, so I would love to know your homework answers. Definitely comment them below, or like as in what's the boundary, what you're going to set, what you're going to commit to. What are your questions, if you have any questions, and any questions about the course, and message me on my Facebook page, #first5, if you want to stay connected to these videos so that I can send them to you, as well as the link to the Super Early Bird registration. Obviously, we're going to be diving deeper into the creating the work, like how do you weave it with life and habits and when, you know, life throws you a, you know, crap storm and things kind of goes out of whack and your routine is out of whack, how do you get back into it? Which is about creative flow, which is about resistance work. So I have a whole tool belt about setting your mindset and belief work, and around creating and around connecting and making into a habit with your creativity, how to do that professionally, which means showing up and creating the art or creating the work and holding space for your clients, even when you're not feeling it, even if you're like me and you're tired and you had hardly any sleep and you're just feeling a lot of like leftover anger and relationship issues that you need to like fucking deal with. I can still show up, I can still give you everything I have, and I can in here with as much as energy as I can give, and to create this art that's going to be talking about the actual art. So that's a bigger masterpiece that I'm offering for you called First 5, laying the foundations for finding your first 5 dream clients, customers, collectors online, so that you can find the fun, the funds, and the fulfillment for your creativity. So I hope you have the best day. I hope that was valuable. Definitely ask me questions and I can answer them all below, and I'll come back round and answer them. If you're watching the replay, say hi and drop your answers to the homework below. Otherwise, message my Facebook page, hashtag First5. Actually, I forgot to put that in there. Message me, hashtag First5 on my biz page. On my biz page, and then I can hook you up with the link as well. Actually, I'll put the link down here. Isn't that easier? Sometimes you're like, I don't want to message you, I'm too lazy, I just rather click. Okay. For super early bird registration is open. Where am I looking? Super early bird registration is open if you're like, I totally want in. It is super early bird. I was just like, no, I think I'm missing a 1 there. At the beginning of that number. But you know, the art wants to be what it wants to be, and I'm going to offer at this price for people who want to jump in super early, and you will have all my brain and my attention and my time to help you get set up, to share your creative work online, to find your first clients, customers, collectors, or before Christmas, which is perfect time, by the way, because then this is the time when people are like willing to start buying stuff and trying new things, and you also have time because you're winding down from the year. It is an exciting time. Christmas is like my favorite holiday. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for watching it all through. I hope that was really valuable. I would love to know your biggest ahas and your answers to your questions, the homework questions. Can I pin that one as well? Oh, there's 2 pins. So 2 pinned. With the links as well, and message me if you have any questions and to get hooked up, to get all the links to all the videos. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow in tomorrow's video about how you're building more than just a biz, you're building a brand, and what you need to do that, especially when you're just starting, to lay the foundations. Because a good foundation means you can build it to as big an empire as you want, or as little as you want, because it's your art, it's your offering. And I will see you then. I hope you have the best day ever. Bye.